I don't think government is in a position to deploy capital out of the taxpayers' money to expand even state-owned enterprises. Even banks have limited capacity to support for them to continue to expand if there's going to be state ownership. So that's where I think it's important. These even state ownership, state-owned business entities, as well as large corporates, they should be able to raise capital for their future expansion and development through the capital market. There are two ways. One is, government policy, I'm sure Minister will elaborate on this, the policy. We talk about state ownership versus public ownership. So while keeping the state ownership is one thing, but having public ownership means offering public opportunity to diversify into public ownership from the state ownership. I think when you look at Sri Lankan state ownership, Sri Lankan state owns a large, huge stock of the assets. Over several decades of taxpayer money being funded and develop this thing, I think this opportunity. Even this good for the market developments. Capital market developments, you need big state-owned enterprises be listed in the capital market that will provide more opportunities, that will bring in governance and all the important governance, the measures into state-owned enterprise businesses. This is my personal view. I'm sure government also indicated their willingness to basically provide that opportunities for public ownership compared to state ownership, while keeping certain amount of state ownership, but offering that part to public is the right move in my view. I think that's where you will have opportunities. And corporations, both public and private, will have opportunities to raise capital. Medium to long-term capital is something necessary for long-term investment. With the stability is now in place, with predictability is in place, but capital is where that's capital formation is very important. That's from the raising capital formation point of view. But from the other side, investor point of view, if you look at Sri Lankan investors, general public, what are the investment opportunities for the public available in Sri Lanka? It's still, as I said, a lot of even people, whatever their savings, they invest in fixed deposits or something in the banking sector. The reason that because they don't have that much of diverse investment opportunities. This is again important element, important feature that we need to try going forward for people to invest their savings into diverse investment opportunities. Because instead of here in Sri Lanka, if you look at the public sector, they have a social safety in terms of kind of government pension. As large public sector, they don't have this kind of safety net. The only way that these people, or for their senior citizens or ages, is to whatever savings they have, they would usually come in the bank and deposit and trying to live out of the interest income. That is not sustainable. That's where capital market development, offering more opportunities for regulated capital products is important. I think there's a lot of opportunities also. And this is where, because there's a lack of investment opportunities in different diverse instruments, people get into scams, people get into pyramid schemes, people get into unauthorized deposit-taking businesses, and people lose their money because under normal, this kind of multiple cycles, obviously market interest rates can't be very high, can never be double-digit if we maintain inflation to 5%. So we have to have a situation where people get used to relatively low banking interest rates, then what are the opportunities for these people to invest their savings and earn higher return for their living going forward, or for them to be able to have a reasonable high return? That is where one is obviously government securities market is one other alternative opportunity. That's also be part of the market development. But more than that, I think corporate debentures, capital market and regulated instruments by these capital market players there are a lot of opportunities, and that will give more opportunities, and that will good for the people to have a reasonable return. That's where I should look at out of the frontier market and emerging and advanced markets. I don't think a lot of all these countries people live out of their interest income from their deposits in the banks. They can never be there's a right macroeconomic situation. No one will be able to live out of the interest income, out of their savings, unless they have a huge amount of savings in a bank. This is where it's important to provide those kind of financial instruments.
Other Derana Business YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Other Derana Business YouTube channel for the latest and most insightful business news.